2491 Planetship. This is a game that I've been wanting to play in a while. I received my copy, I believe it was summer 2020. And you remember what those days were like. And this is not a game that I could play solo. This is not a game that I could play with my kids, especially my kids of, 2 years ago. They grow so fast. Maybe I could play it now. So, I just had to wait, and now that I have game night again at the end of the pandemic or in the very late stages of the pandemic, here we go. Finally got to play 2491 Planetship. The game is a remake of City of Spies. In that game, we were recruiting agents. Now we are we were told that we are looking for DNA, but again, we are recruiting agents, meaning we start with a hand of cards. They're called cards, and they work like cards, I guess, but they are nice cardboard tiles, and each player gets a standee, such as this one, where they can place their initial 6 cards / tiles. Then there is a board that represents this derelict, destroyed planet ship that we are exploring, again looking for DNA. Again, that means we are recruiting more characters that will give us victory points at the end of the game. And so you have a board, the shape and the size of which depends on the number of players, but you will still use these tiles here, each divided into 4 areas. You shuffle them randomly, you don't use them all at the same time. There will be more tiles that from round to round are added to one side as the other ones are cycled out. So the board will change, but it will still always look like this, a grid of areas, zones, each divided into 4 areas, and each large tile has an area where you will place one of these cards that are the reward cards. Again, this is what we're fighting over, and you have a nice deck of tiles where those reward tiles may come from. We will play our cards to try to take those, so hopefully we get some into our hand. Then you will decide which ones you want to keep in your hand and which ones goes in your discard pile. The ones in your discard pile will still score 1 point each at the end of the game. The ones in your hand at the end of the game will score hopefully more. They will score their printed value, which may be considerably more than 1. Also, we have special missions, special accomplishments that will score different amounts of points, score extra points, 6 points, to players that fulfill certain requirements. For example, the player who has the most of these symbols on their cards in their hand at the end of the game, the player will score 6 points. Player who has the most of these symbols in their hand, player who has the most of these symbols, these are race symbols. And again, you have a number of these. So the objectives or the symbols that are worth extra points will change from game to game. The game, in essence, is very, very simple, which is each turn players will take a turn, will alternate playing a card from their hand, playing it into the play area, using a starship to mark ownership. So each player will play a card 4 times, so each player will play 4 cards, and that's it. In the end, you will resolve conflict to determine who has the majority of strength in a certain section, and that player will get to take the corresponding reward card as their reward. Simple as that, right? The general idea is simple, but the simplest thing in this game is complicated. How close of it's in, but also you will see how accurate. Couple of things. When you play a card, it needs to be played in an area that these 8 symbols are pointing towards with those cute tiny arrows there. So I could play there or I could play there. A card placed in an area with that symbol is placed face down, so only you know what that is. Other areas will determine that the card is played face up instead. I can also play in areas that there isn't an arrow pointing to if I already have a card of mine adjacent to it. So right now I could play a card there because I have a card adjacent to it. Otherwise, I could not. Either arrow pointing towards, or you have a card already adjacent. So these areas indicated by the arrows are very important, and players will try to take control of them to create bottlenecks so that the players cannot easily take control of things. If you play a card in an area that has that symbol, then you get to place a probe on the board, and the probe will allow you to look at cards that are there that may be face down. Incidentally, the reward cards also may be face down if the space indicates that that is the case. So far so good, right? We just go around and everybody places their 4 cards. So that should be quick and easy, but again, it's not. It's long and complicated because of what these cards will do. Once everybody's done playing those cards, again, we resolve each sector in numerical order from the lowest to the highest. So in this case, we got 0, then we resolve 1, then we resolve 4, 5, 6, and 7. And within each sector, we resolve the abilities of the cards in the order indicated by the Roman numerals. So if there's a card here that has an effect, we will resolve that. If there's a card here, we resolve that, then that. It may mean that a card gets to kill another card, or another card gets to teleport another card, or itself, or it gets to tractor beam another card in. A lot of different things will happen. And again, the order really matters. If I'm here and have a killing power, then I can activate the killing power and remove another card before they get to do it. Or maybe I see now that I have a teleporter here and there's a killer here. So my teleporter wants to get the heck out of there before the killer gets to activate. And it may also be that by teleporting that card somewhere else, I can teleport it to an area that has not been resolved yet, so that card will get to do something. And so there is a way, precisely this way, by chaining different effects in which you can move cards around into areas that have not been activated yet to use them multiple times per turn. But when all is said and done, when all cards are revealed, when all effects are played, we see who has the most influence there. That is indicated by those numbers there. Again, the player who has the most influence in an area gets to take the card as a reward. And so again, the game is very simple, but as you will see, the economy is very tight. The number of actions that you can take, the number of cards that you have to play, it's very tight. Making a mistake means that you lose an influence conflict by 1 point. Losing is losing. You don't get the card. So players will want to really pay attention to what they're doing. The main idea remains the same. You play your cards face up or face down, possibly getting a probe in the process. Then, when everybody has played 4, reveal all cards, resolve all areas, and within each area, resolve all effects in order, determine who gets the card. Do the same thing for 4 rounds, again, changing the configuration of the board from round to round. And at the end of the game, well, score points from your discard pile, from your current hand, from these missions. Play with the highest score wins the game. The components are very nice. I love the art. I love a certain classical beauty in the environment, almost like Alex Raymond in some cases, other times more like Möbius. The characters are more like cartoonish, comic book-like, but it works. It's very nice. Components are thick and sturdy. No problem with the production. Love the wooden pieces. No problem there. When it comes to gameplay, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, which may be surprising when you tell the players all you need to do is to play a card during your turn. But wait, restrictions apply. And there are all those symbols that, of course, you have to teach them what they do. The tiles on the board have also symbols. I didn't cover those because this is not a tutorial, but a certain effect will work differently or not work at all in certain tiles rather than others. So there is a lot that you have to teach to get the players started to play, and a lot more that you have to teach before the players know what they're doing. So it's a game that at the beginning is going to take quite a while, will move slowly, but after players are familiar with it, it will move a lot more slowly. Because that is when you realize how tight the game economy is, how tight things are. The opportunity cost is immense. You get basically 16 moves throughout the entire game. And again, you can cheat a little bit and get extra movements, extra things by activating people multiple times, but you get 16 placements. That is your main agency in the game. If you get one or two of those wrong, that's pretty tough. That's a lot. The opportunity cost of a single mistake or two mistakes can be considerable. And also, there is not really any catch-up mechanism, which means if you do poorly the first turn, you don't get maybe any new character, but other people have acquired new rewards on the board from the board, which means not only that they are ahead in terms of points, but they have better cards. They can do better things. There's an automatic thing. Well, if I didn't get anything, I get this or I get that. I'm just behind. And again, in a game with 4 rounds. Being behind at the end of turn 1 means it's very hard to catch up. So the game is very thinky, and people will want to spend a lot of time thinking about, if I do this and I do that, but I leave that space open, but I leave that opportunity for that player, but I want to chain this off in this way and that other way, blah, 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 blah. It gets very thinking. Analysis paralysis is almost, I don't know, mandatory, but is definitely very likely to happen. The other cases, other games which I review and I say, hey, analysis paralysis may happen, it's about that player that you should, don't play this game with that player. If players actually understand the game, I think it's going to be very hard not to spend a lot of time really considering every possible move, every possibility, which ultimately also you can't really because there's limited information that you have. So there's still an element of randomness. Again, or then you can get into levels of analysis paralysis. If I see that player play that card, then I know that face down card is more likely to be this or that. So it's a game that from the point of view of the puzzle element can be quite intense. I found that to be the most important element of the game. I completely forgot about the sci-fi or anything like that. There's a pretty cold, pretty unforgiving puzzle in which I was really trying to figure out what everybody was doing, and everybody was doing the same. So the game took a long time to play, and it can be quite demanding. So that's the general idea. Now you know the kind of player that I believe this will appeal to. There is basically no real randomness, so you get the feel that everything is under player's control, and that gives an incentive to really think about your moves. So from the point of view of the hard, cold, unforgiving strategy, this game definitely can appeal to a specific target audience. I don't think it is for everybody. I don't think it is for me every day or every game night. Again, the stars need to be right. There are times where I just want something that doesn't put so much pressure, like I really need to make sure I don't make a mistake or two, or that's about it. So 2491 Planetship. It is an easy game to get a general feel. It's harder to learn because of the rules and the icons, and it's extremely hard to master in a way that when you play it doesn't feel, again, just like a really tough puzzle. And this is my review. Again, my enjoyment was mixed. I enjoyed that puzzle, but I also didn't do too well at it. I don't think I'm particularly good at this. And the most importantly, I don't think is the kind of game that one is always in the mood for. It requires a specific set of circumstances and players for this game to be enjoyable.